Hello, everyone. You are listening to the first WKNC D&D podcast. This is Fantasia World Tour with me, the DM, Starry Eyes. I'm here with 4 other DJs from WKNC. Would you all just like to introduce yourselves?
OMG, wow. I'm TJ Starburst. That's it. That's me. I play radio music.
Hello, I'm Slim Chino. I sometimes play music on the radio, and sometimes I also play music on the. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah.
All right. Hello. I'm Sleeping Drogger, and I will play music on the radio soon.
Yay!
Yay.
Hi, I'm DJ Orbital Death Laser. I'm an electronic DJ. Yay!
Amazing. We're so excited to be here to play D&D. All right. I guess we'll just get right into it.
Let's Dungeons and Dragons it.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow. Now, for session 1, there is the World Music Competition coming up, the Dodger World Music Competition. However, 2 years ago, Lori Dodger, the queen of the bands who helped found this World Music Competition, she disappeared. And she did not show up to the last competition. No one knows what happened to her, where she's gone.
Who had their Discord sounds on?
I don't think it picked
For the
up.
record, it's not me.
For the record,
Shouldn't be me.
for the
It's
record,
not me because I'm the one that sent the message.
It was me. Anyway. The Dodger World Music Competition approaches. Auditions are taking place across Fantasia to see which artists, solo or band, will be able to compete for the title of, the next world famous music artist. Essentially, whoever wins the World Music Competition gets to sign a big record contract with the World label. And it's an opportunity that happens once every 2 years. We find ourselves out in the grand desert of Fantasia. It's hostile for many reasons. The grand desert, of course, has a lack of water. There's monsters too, such as Surgu, the great worm. There's colossal dunes, flat wastes. However, there is one very well-known town that exists out in this desert heat. Its name is Con Abbando. Some of you may know, it's definitely common knowledge that Con Abbando was founded by criminals evading the law. This oasis located amongst geysers and hot springs. It's really just was a dusty little western town until the founding of its casino, the Ember Garden. The gambling and tourism that the casino brought in made Con Abbando extremely successful for entertainers and charlatans. And more recently, the railroad known as the Baseline was extended to reach this town, bringing in even more wealth. We start off at the train station that reaches Con Abbando. Built a couple years ago by the World label, it sits just at the end of the Ember Way promenade, which is this very nice, big sort of outdoor mall at the heart of the town. Let's see. I have a question to everyone. Who do you think is rolling up on the day of the auditions, sort of last minute, or are you all just kind of have already been here for a couple days?
Stream is low-key last minute core.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might be rolling up last minute.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think that Fizz would be there, but incidentally, Like he's working and he doesn't know what's happening, but he's about to find out.
Totally. Yeah.
I think Jam's just along for the ride. So potentially was doing some illegal activities
Yeah.
and was already there.
Okay.
There are no type A thinkers in this group.
No.
Hey,
Do any of
listen.
us have a
If I'm a
positive
little bit
wisdom
late,
score?
I'm basically early.
I don't know about that one.
If I'm in the back of the line, I'm basically first in the pack.
Listen,
And by
I've been
pack, I mean
busy.
pack.
I've had business to attend to.
What business?
I had to fit this train ride into my busy schedule.
All right. Well, the train, it rides through the desert. It's a long ride. It's boring, but it's beautiful. If you look out the window, you'll see just the rolling sort of sandy desert landscapes with like a few shrubs every now and then. But the train rolls up. Its wheels grinding slowly to a halt before its whistle blows, signaling its arrival. And, there's like a bunch of people getting off one by one. And one of them, let's see, who wants to go first? I feel like if you're like super last minute, maybe Zannin is getting off.
Okay.
I suppose you have a lot of luggage that you're dealing with, maybe?
I
don't know.
have some luggage, but I'm very determined in hauling it around, I think.
Okay. Well, do you
yeah,
want
I
to
can-
describe your character?
Yeah,
And,
I can introduce my character.
Yeah.
All right, so off the train steps Zannin Baltech. This is a pretty short guy, just cresting over 3 feet. Obvious, like, gnomish ancestry, but obviously not quite a gnome. He's got this grayish skin, like sort of the color of an ash flow, dark shoulder-length hair, very messy, but tipped with orange and blue, with the ends sort of fluttering up like flames. And there's blue streaks shot through the hair that match his softly glowing blue eyes. And occasionally when he gives a big heave on this oversized brass briefcase that he's just tugging behind him, probably weighs as much as him, maybe more, little embers come off of the ends of his hair. Let's see. He's very well dressed, very nicely dressed. Lots of various belts and pouches with tools and whatnot poking out. This appears to be someone who is maybe a crafter of some kind. Let's see. There are lots of sort of like cogs and tubing on some of these belts and pouches, and particularly there is one such construction that wraps up his leather gorget up to his neck and wraps around his temple. So it seems sort of mechanical and pulses of blue magic occasionally, light small runes on it.
Oh, wow.
So this short guy is just dragging this really heavy looking briefcase with them just off the train, just clunk, 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 clunk.
All right. Oh, well, thank you so much. I really love that description. That was,
Thank you.
that was
Thank
great.
you.
As this huge brass suitcase is clunking down the steps of the train, Stream, you are having to wait right behind as this short little fiery guy is making their way down. What's your character look like, and how do they react to being stuck here having to wait for this person to carry all their luggage down?
Stream's low-key waiting. Okay, so this is this guy is what, 5'6",
Shorter.
white, but also a half wood elf. So he's got little point ears. I keep using the pronouns he. I'm just gonna give him he/they pronouns. I'm just gonna accept he/they pronouns because I think of him as Rivers Cuomo, and so and I shouldn't be thinking of him that way because he's just trying to be Rivers Cuomo. He's got this kind of fluffy black hair, but that's not really fluffy at all. But it's there's a lot of it. And he's just got a little smile on his face, except not really because he's probably tired. I don't know. He looks a little sad. He's thinking about Buddy Holly right now. And he's like just standing behind this guy, and he's like, what's up with all this guy's luggage? But he doesn't really care that much because he understands it. Because like, looky, he's got a backpack on, and it's got like his guitars and stuff on it. And there's a little bag on his side that's probably got his guitars in it. His bag of holding.
Ooh, amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for introducing Stream. Eventually, you both are able to get off the train, and I suppose nothing really of great importance happens after. You see that there's this, there's like a gate exiting the train station platform, and above it is this big, white banner with this sort of red and gold colored printed text that says, auditions for the World Music Competition are taking place inside the Ember Garden Palace. And yeah, there's like another like big welcome banner, and then you see there's like a sign sort of propped up, and there's even like a human guy. He just kind of like has like a little suit on, sort of I don't know, like a news cap. And the sign reads, sign-ups are at the main theater in the Ember Garden Palace.
Am I directly like behind the guy with all the luggage?
Yeah, you are.
Can I like talk to him?
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you dare?
I'm gonna look at the guy in front of me with all the luggage. I'm like, what are you playing? Are you here for the music tournament?
Oh, well, yes, I certainly am. As for what I'm playing, well, you see, I'm sort of an innovator, if you will, a revolutionary. And I have brought my instrument here, and I pat the suitcase, the briefcase on the side, clangs loudly. And, not to give anything away to my adoring audience, but if you swing by these auditions, I would be sure to give you a little sneak peek.
I'm one person. Why are you talking to me like I'm your audience?
Anyone is a potential audience member.
Well, that's true. But I'm also here for the tournament, so,
Well, best of luck, but I've got something pretty special here, I think.
Wait till you see my guitar shredding.
Guitar shredding. That's so 5 years ago.
Whatever you believe.
I'm sure, it looks like Zannin sort of comes to realization here. And, I hear guitar shredding is coming back. Say, do you know where these Ember What's-Its Garden is?
No, I was kind of just following you and hoping you'd know where it is. What's your name, by the way?
What are there? Zannin Baltech.
Stream grabs the guy's hand and is like, nice to meet you, Zannin Baltech. I'm Stream.
Stream? Just nothing?
Just Stream.
Well, pleasure to meet you, Stream. I'm sure, hey, you're in the music industry. I'm sure we'll do business at some point.
What kind of business? I don't make money.
Well, in that case, maybe say this tournament goes well, you come into some money of your own with the record label. I'm a member of the Guild of Luthiers and Instrument Crafters. You've probably heard of us.
Probably? I have no clue. I don't remember.
Well, whenever you need a new fancy guitar to shred on, I'm your guy.
Mine from my bard school.
Like a loaner, like a rental?
No. Like I bought it from my bard school.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. You ever heard of Bardford?
Have I heard of Bardford?
Yeah, I went to Bardford.
Yes, you have heard of Bardford.
Oh yeah, Bardford, of course.
As you say that, the guy kind of like standing at the sign sees two musicians rolling up, and he kind of like waves at you. It's like he's just like a normal white guy. But he's wearing like a really nice button down. Hey, you two in a band?
Us?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's this Ember Garden place? We'd love to go there.
Yeah, oh, yes. Ember Garden, the palace, the casino. Yeah, the sign-ups are actually happening just outside the main theater there, and the auditions will be taking place later this afternoon. But you see, we're here right at the end of what's known as Ember Way, if it's your first time here. But there's plenty of little shops you could check out before you make it to the casino. But if you just look straight down, and he points just the Ember Way is just like this promenade like paved with light tan bricks, lined with many palm trees. Every now and then there's like a public fountain carved from marble with like statues and stuff. But yeah, all the way at the end of this sort of like plaza, you see this big sort of palace-like building, and he points at it and he says, "Yeah, that's the Ember Garden."
Yeah, Zane is sort of on their tiptoes, like trying to look over people's heads.
Oh, I don't have anything to say. I was trying to think to
No, it's
myself,
fine.
and I was like, no, I have nothing. I have nothing.
That's totally fine. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, Zen, and you kind of like peek around because it's definitely a little bit crowded here today. It seems like there's some excitement around these auditions.
Understandably so. I'll just like follow the direction that this person pointed and be like, "Oh, thank you for your help. I'll remember you when I'm famous."
Of course.
Yeah, Stream's
Didn't ask the name or nothing, just "I'll remember you."
Stream's just gonna follow behind Zannin. This is just easier.
Yeah. Well, I'm making a lot of space, I think, like, 'cause at some point during this conversation, I've modified the bottom of this briefcase to have cogs on the bottom so I can kind of push it a little bit. So I'm clearing a lot of way with my briefcase as a battering ram, I think.
Are you like a dwarf?
Gnome.
You're a gnome?
Gnome.
Oh, I thought you were like a fire genasi.
Yeah, I'm a fire genasi. Gnomish
parents.
ancestors, like gnomish parents.
Okay.
Raised in a community with a lot of dwarves.
Oh, okay. So that's where you're getting the
That's where
cogs from. I was like, this is like is this a stereotype?
Well, as the two of you kind of walk off, the guy that's like directing people, he kind of like rolls his eyes because what Zannin said about, you know, remembering him when he's famous, it's definitely not the first time he's heard that today. You all make your way down Ember Way. There's, you know, various shops and bars and restaurants built from terracotta, somewhat bleached from exposure to the sun. Vines are kind of growing up the walls, and there's some fruit trees providing shade. And you see, as you make your way to the palace, which is really, it's just like a fancy name for the casino. The casino is also made from terracotta, but very like carved and detailed down to every sort of inch, like every square inch is sort of embroidered with like white and red stone filigree. The central dome of this palace glints the color of amber in the desert sun's light. And yeah, there's these big, open, inviting golden gates, and sort of at the top of the building, there's this sort of really like clashing aesthetic of a huge glowing electric neon sign. And it reads the Ember Garden. You two give me perception checks.
Oh boy.
I don't have dice.
Here, take my.
I'll take the
I have a d20 if you need it, but yeah.
Oh, thank God I'm transgender now.
You're welcome. Wait.
I have like 2 sets at the same time. That didn't roll at all.
Unless someone has a really high passive perception, but I don't remember.
What is my passive perception? I'm trying to. I can't remember. Loki, I have a +1.
So what did y'all roll?
I rolled a 16.
I rolled an 11.
Where'd it go?
Okay.
I'm gonna re-roll because I moved it. Okay, I got a 17 now.
Okay. Schmoop Jam.
Hello.
You said you might be like up to no good, or
Good is a subjective thing.
It's subjective. Is it fair to say you might be like delivering stuff to this town, maybe, or?
I may have some things that some people may want.
What does that imply?
That's up to your interpretation.
If you have to ask, then you don't need to know.
I want to know. I really want to know. Like, I'd like to know.
I don't know.
Advice on
I don't know.
that?
Is Schmoop Jam the kind of person to like do like a deal in an alleyway, or is that not the vibe? I really.
Schmoop Jam will do any deal. I'll do any deal that nets profit.
Okay.
In this case, I'm not allowed to. Sorry if this breaks the fourth wall a bit. This is my
Oh, no.
first time.
No,
I have a
you're
question.
totally welcome to break the
Should
wall.
I be using like referring to myself in first person or in third person when talking about my character?
I think.
Either. I've done
Either.
both.
It's up to personal
Yeah.
preference.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've done both. So
Yeah, I was gonna
so-
say y'all have done both.
I switch off a lot of the
Okay.
time.
Well, I think this is a situation where there are goods in a box, and part of my task is to not open the box. I'm not allowed to know what's in there.
You got any blue?
Any blue?
Maybe teal?
Maybe teal?
Red? Green?
Maybe
Aubergine?
come back to me next week with that one, and we'll see.
You have goods in a box,
I have
and
goods in a box.
you don't know what they are, but you are actually sort of like the casino is behind this like sort of golden gate, but then there's this sort of big like courtyard, or I don't know if courtyard is the right word, but there's sort of like a garden like leading to the casino, and then there's like a big sort of like loading dock area, and that's where Jam is currently dropping off some unknown boxes to the casino itself. If that sounds valid to you.
That does. It would have been nice to know that the casino was where they wanted it dropped off, but that information was not relayed until I arrived. So I might be doing bidding with some people who are more of significance than I was expecting.
I mean, and that's fair. Unless if this is too high profile for you, we can change it.
No. I'm meaning this is in character. I like this idea.
Okay.
I was not expecting it to be high profile, and it is.
Yeah. So you're dropping off these goods, and Stream, you have really I mean, at this time at least, you have good eyes, or maybe it's just random luck that you just happen to be looking around and you see there's what does Jam look like?
Well, Schmoop Jam is a plasmoid. Think darkish green goop with like green yellow bright eyes, and that's the only discerning feature, really. I'd like to imagine wearing a cloak of some sort. Interested in wizardry, but not far enough yet to have a nice wizard hat. That's a bit of a commitment and investment in identity, so I'm sticking with a hood for now. So imagine shady, but also like very harmless because I'm green, so I can be placed there.
This is just like a question that I have. Are you made out of goop, or
I'm a plasmoid.
what's the quality of your skin?
I'm gonna
of your
show
body?
you my mood board
Oh,
for
okay.
reference.
So like, if I were to shake your hand, would it be wet?
I don't think it would be wet. I'm not slimy. I'm made of goop, but I would like to imagine.
Is it
I
more
don't-
like Nito?
So have you ever donated plasma before?
I think that's a inappropriate question.
I was gonna say me neither, because I don't know what it looks like.
I have an iron deficiency,
but-
so
Actually, hold on.
Okay.
I need to.
I didn't know that.
I need to search this in the.
Yeah. Have y'all ever felt like the galaxy slime?
that's what I was thinking.
And then when you let go, your hand isn't wet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it feels wet. I don't know why. That's what.
well, I was
You're like
thinking like a
goopy.
Nito because like it's like like a gooey kind of toy that you can squish in your hand, but it's not wet and it's not sticky.
Okay, I haven't played with that one.
I keep hearing about those damn Nidos. I now work at Target. I keep hearing about those damn Nidos.
Oh, you're gonna have Nido trauma by like week 2.
It's Pokemon and Nidos that I keep hearing about. I'm like, guys, come on, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I apparently I range from being completely firm as a humanoid shape, with varying levels of squishiness, all the way to like liquefied puddle.
Mm-hmm.
So are you firm right now?
Okay,
Is that something that you can choose?
I think I can adjust my, within reason, adjust my.
Okay.
Do you like melt
goopiness.
into a little puddle when you're sad?
When you sleep and when you're unconscious, I believe you are, or when I sleep and I'm unconscious, I believe I will be a puddle.
Okay.
But otherwise, generally take a more human form when needed. And no, I'm not soggy. I'm not slimy.
Okay.
I like to think it's like the equivalent of whatever humans showering and having good hygiene is the same for a plasmoid to be not slimy and goopy.
Okay.
I too become goopy and wet when I sleep.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
You see, there's a. Well, I don't know. Stream. How do you react to seeing Jam? I don't know. This might be like the first plasmoid you've ever seen.
Stream looks at Zannin and goes, "Dude, there's a plasmoid over there. They got plasmoids here.
Yeah, just quick. It's like, look on where? What?
Over there, with that big box.
Yeah, squinting.
Can you not see?"
There's like a really tall person like standing
Jam,
right in front of them.
Jam, you can definitely hear this person yelling about this in the distance.
Oh, I'm tuned in. I'm listening. I'm learning. I'm holding back comments. I'm too employed for this.
Are plasmoid common here, you think?
What? Where are we again? I don't even remember. I just kind of took that train and I just forgot. I just like zoned out.
Con Abbando. Yeah. Yep. Right? No.
Con Abbando?
Con Abbando.
Sorry, I can put it in the chat.
Con Abbando. I just wrote it down incorrectly.
Stream goes, dude. I lived in the woods until I was at Bardford. Like, I lived in the woods. I don't know anywhere.
So what's the application process like to Bardford from the woods?
You know, I just kind of applied, and I think they took me because I was really good at playing music. Like, you know, it's Bardford. Like, they take the best bards, and I guess I was just one of them. I think that's how it works. Is that how that works, Starry?
Something like that. Yeah.
Ian, that's BS.
You take that back.
They said the line.
They said, oh my gosh.
I'm going to reference that constantly. You're never going to hear the end of it.
I'm going to write this down correctly this time.
Okay, yeah. Well, Jam, you finish up dropping off the goods, and there's some other like workers sort of helping you as they bring them inside.
Yeah.
And as you get things squared away, you do notice that you've seen a lot of musicians rolling up to this place today. And I mean, you've seen the banners. You know what's going on.
I know what's going on. You know, it's, for all I know, I'm probably delivering whatever the equivalent is of XLR cables.
Yeah.
Or something, you know. It's got to be that. There's nothing illegal, nothing strange. Just cables.
Totally. Well, as you finish up, there is this, like one of the managers sort of rolls up. He's this tiefling guy, sort of gray skin, slicked back like black hair, and a black button down with like tight pants. Anyway, he goes to you and says, thank you for delivering this. Here is your payment. Roll me I don't know. Roll me some random dice. Just roll it. Just
roll these. Whoa,
Just
hold
roll
on.
anything.
Just roll
The
them
metal
all.
one.
Roll them all.
That's
See what
nice.
happens.
Sorry, I'm distracted by the
The,
No.
the dice have kind of a sonic quality to them for those who are not here.
Okay, so
Like Sonic as in
Why'd
sound,
you
not the
re-roll my
hedgehog.
die?
Oh no,
I
I
didn't
was
think
playing
the
with it.
I think you got. Wait, reroll. Yeah, reroll these. Sorry.
I got told about Sonic and I went, whoa.
Ooh, okay. You got 33 gold pieces.
33 gold pieces.
What is that in US dollars?
You get
Like 2.
17 silver pieces. And
Wait,
three.
platinums?
No platinum. You got
wait. How many silver you said?
17 silver.
17 silver,
They paid you like nothing.
which is worth $1.7 gold.
Yeah,
Okay, and then how many gold? 33.
yeah.
Oh, I gotta do math here. 40,
Oh, don't you have a slot for?
48. There we go.
And
Oh.
you don't get any copper pieces. Instead, he pulls out these like 3 vouchers,
Ooh,
and he says, "Here, help yourself to a drink from the bar."
ooh.
So you get 3 bar coupons.
3, you said?
3, yes. Of course, you know they're only good at the casino, of course.
I'm like trying to look up like what the D&D like currency is equivalent to. And I saw one that said like 1 copper would be like equivalent to like $1.
I think that gold is worth a lot. You rolled pretty well.
Yeah, I got.
You rolled like
almost
a
50 gold.
Yeah. So you
Can I talk to the guy
Yeah.
with the slick back hair?
yeah.
Because I just wanted to mention, I'm gonna. Thanks for the bar coupons. 'Cause I'm gonna need a drink. I overheard some guys talking about they hadn't seen a plasmoid before. And, you know, I'm not the type to have hurt feelings, but I just got the vibe of like if I were to bring anything up, they'd be like, "Oh, I got plasmoid friends." It's like, okay, man. Like, I get it. I'm goopy. I'm green, but like I'm chill like that. So I don't know. Maybe if I run into them again, I'll try to give them a good impression of plasmoids. I'll give them drinks too. But we'll
The
see.
manager sort of nods. Yes, I know what that's like, being a tiefling and all. Well, please, feel free to relax here as long as you like. There's plenty to do here at the Ember Garden.
Oh yeah.
I have to make it known that like gnome.
Okay,
I have to make it known that stream isn't being like discriminatory. I just don't think stream has ever seen a plasmoid.
No, totally.
And there's,
live in the
there's not
woods.
like a real world equivalent to this. Like you don't just go around saying
They don't-
like that.
They don't admit plasmoids at Bardford.
I do think they're just extremely rare. Yeah, like
It's like you don't go. It's like there's no real world equivalent to this. It's like if you saw a werewolf, it's like, dude, that's a werewolf. Like you don't just do that because like there's no like people in real life that are just rare. Like,
You're just a simple they from the woods, and this is the first time you've ever seen a guy made out of plasma.
I've never seen a guy made out of plasma. I'm a simple he/they from the woods.
I'm realizing maybe this is a bad thing for me to be role playing a minority as a white man,
no.
as a white guy. Like, hey,
You know, it's D&D.
well, you know,
Yeah, you're
let's say I travel to some other country where it's not mostly white people, then I'd be a minority, and it's the same thing. It's like traveling, but in your mind.
we have to go to the plasmoid place.
Yeah.
The plasmoid place. Did they have one of those in Fantasia?
There's somewhere.
I feel like
Yeah.
this.
Somewhere.
Hold
Where
on,
do
let
you
me look
hail
at the
from?
name of the place. I feel like Con Abbando. Sorry, I think I'm low-key dyslexic, so I'm struggling.
No.
Con Abbando is the type of place that would have like a plasmoid brothel. Like I'm just imagining like shady activity,
Oh,
like
yeah,
casino.
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
gotta watch my back and not get trafficked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's the promenade is very nice, but off of the promenade, it definitely gets kind of sketchy. Well, You have coupons for the bar.
Huge.
And anyway, Stream and Zannin. I guess, do you two head inside or do you stick outside?
Head inside, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna head inside.
Cool. So, Zannin and Stream, you head inside of the casino. And immediately you hear the sound of clapping and cheering. And you will notice a small stage to the left by the main bar where there's people drinking at high tops and low tops. And they're enjoying a show. There's a big sign painted with red text that reads, Lamusha, the fire breather.
I can do that.
On stage, dressed in black, pink, and gold, there's this golden dragonborn currently juggling flaming hot coals while balancing a sword on her snout. And behind her, at the back of the stage, not very well lit, is a guitarist who is just sort of accompanying the performance. Fizz, do you want to describe yourself?
Yes. So Fizz is a 3'11" and a half Kenku. He weighs no more than 100 pounds. He is quite a little guy, but you might say that he takes on some airs a little bit bigger than he really is. He works for the casino in many forms. Whatever they need him to do, he will do it without question. And today, his role is first and foremost to support all of the incredible people who have come to display their talents today. And he is not to draw too much attention, only to dance and play instruments and sing to the best of his ability in order to make these performers just look that much better, shine that much more, what have you, little politeness like that. He's just a little guy. He's wearing a suit. He's got a big guitar. Well, big for a 3'11" and a half, 100-pound bird guy. And he's also balancing himself up by a little walking stick type deal, but it's kind of like fancy and steampunk, so get the vibe.
Amazing.
But yeah, he's kind of just off in his own little world playing the song. He's seen so many of these performances, it doesn't really impress him to see this giant dragon woman breathing fire, balancing a sword on her snout or anything like that.
They're here every day.
He's just ready to have something else to do besides play the guitar because this is the 11th act today.
Yes. Well, Stream and Zannin, you see this as you enter in. And besides this, you also see that there's signage pointing you towards the sign-up table for the auditions as well. And of course, Jam, you're welcome to wander in whenever you like as well.
Oh, yeah. I'll wander in. I want a drink.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. You wander in. You also see the performance on stage then. Yeah. And as you head to the bar, you do pass by the half-elf that was yelling about seeing a plasmoid. Stream, I don't know if...
Can I just look at Stream, just a side eye in passing? Can we make eye contact?
Really uncomfortable eye contact.
Stream just sees this. It doesn't have anything.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm reading a list of Wikipedia or I'm reading a list of Weezer songs right now.
Why?
Because I've got to make random references.
Okay. Well, the Jam makes the side eye, and there is eye contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is.
There is.
I feel like Fizz would notice that because he's very people savvy, and in order to kind of dissociate and just become the guitar, he has just kind of been people watching all along. And not too many plasmoids are rocking up to this side of town, especially not one that looks so shady, honestly. Like,
What?
not really sure what that guy was doing before.
No, you can't say that about Plasmoid.
Hey, I work around a lot of sketchy characters at the casino, okay? Takes one to know one. And you know, that was a pretty bombastic side eye, if I do say so myself. So I do wonder what that little elf had to say. That might have
Call me a little elf.
that might have set them off.
I'm not little.
You're not an elf.
I'm 5'6".
Yeah, you're actually like twice my height almost.
Yeah, literally. You're tiny and I'm 5'6". I tower over you.
It's tiny, like age-wise, because Fizz is like middle-aged.
Awesome.
He's old.
I tower over you.
Okay. Stream, Zannin, Jam, roll me perception for funsies. Do you
What
need
do I need?
a d20? You roll a d20.
Whoa.
That one has a penguin.
I've gotten a 5.
Wow.
3.
Okay. You add your wisdom modifier to it, but a 3 is pretty low, so.
Yeah.
If you scroll
hold
down,
on.
I think there should be.
Rolled a natural 100.
There's no natural 100.
Okay. No one, you rolled, what did
I
you?
rolled a 5.
A 5, and then you rolled like an 8.
I rolled a 7.
Okay, yeah.
Well, and an 8, I guess, because of the +1.
Anyways, none of y'all notice Fizz sort of like looking over, clocking those.
Well, in that case, I would like to go over to that sign-up sheet and put my name down.
Totally. You head on over to the sign-up table, and there you see that there's this gnome. The first thing you notice about him is he smells very, 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 very strongly of cologne. Too much cologne. The thick, woody fumes hang dead in the air around him. You could smell it from like a mile away, and his greaseback hair is dyed a stark bright blue. He's got this round little belly that's buttoned up beneath a gray vest, and he has this gold chain connecting to his pocket watch, and he's checking it rather often. But he's sort of standing in front of the sign-up table, and there's a bit of a line with like different solo acts and bands sort of waiting to get their chance to sign the sheet, but it's not too long. And anyways, this gnome character who seems like he's kind of running things potentially. I mean, Fizz, you know him. He's around here. He's like the performance manager. Anyways, he says, yes, step right up to to sign up for the auditions for the Dodger World Music Competition here at the Ember Garden. You there with what is that?
This, I'm so glad you asked. This is my instrument. And I'm trying to keep like an arm's distance from him because I do think with all that cologne, he is a fire risk and I'm emitting embers.
Lots of oils.
But I tell him like, well, this is my instrument.
Your instrument. Interesting. Never seen such a thing before.
Well, you'll want to keep your eyes out. I promise you this is going to be a performance no one will forget.
He checks his pocket watch and then looks back to you. Well, anyway, yeah. What's your name?
Zannin Baltech. Put her there. Wait, no, actually, don't.
He goes to like extend his hand, and then he kind of like looks at his hand and then shrugs. You're with this gentleman. You're in a band together.
We're not really.
Not really.
No.
Hey, I'm Stream.
Hello, I'm Yorkus Loudback. Yes, Yorkus. I am the performance manager here. Oh, looks like there's the line cleared up if you wish to go sign up.
Well, I'll see you later, Zannin. And Stream just walks away. Stream goes to the line.
Did you sign up at least?
I'm going over to sign up.
Okay.
I was waiting for the line to clear up.
Yeah, you head over to sign up. It's pretty straightforward. You just like write down the name that you go by. Honestly, I don't think there's really much else to it besides that.
Write down the name Stream.
Stream. Amazing. I assume Zannin
Yeah,
follows suit.
I will also sign up.
Awesome. Amazing. As you two are doing this jam, you head over to the bar, and it's like a really long bar made out of this nice dark shiny wood. There's different guests sort of hanging out here. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be funny if I don't know, Orbital Death Laser, if do you think that Fizz just sort of like teleports there?
I think that, you know, it's been a couple of performances in a row. They're like, okay, you can go do something else. Like, go wait some tables, man. The bar's pretty full. Like, what are you doing? Why are you so lazy? Like, can you like go pull your weight around here? And he's just like, okay, yeah, I will. And he hops down off the stage. It's really big. He's got to make a big jump, and he falls on his little bird feet, and he kind of like waddles toward the bar, and you know, he puts on like a little fancy apron and just gets like cleaning some glass and just like looking at all the various people. If he wants to wait a table because he's so short, he has to hop up on a little stool to make eye contact.
Cute.
You can't just call a short person cute.
It's a little bird dude.
Yeah, he's
like,
a little bird. He's a little bird with pink eyes.
Okay,
Isn't
I'm
he cute?
shorter, so.
Yeah.
Well, Jam, you roll up to the bar, and I don't know, Fizz, you see there's a customer that hasn't been helped yet.
Okay. I push the stool over to where this plasmoid guy is, and I hop up on the stool, and I'm like, "Hello there. What can I get you?"
Hey, I've got a drink ticket I got. And I'd love to redeem it for something. What's any daily specials? Anything good on the menu?
Oh, well, let's see. Are you here as a performer, or are you just here as a guest?
Oh, I hadn't really thought about that. I was just kind of here for work, but I see all these performances going on. It's kind of cool.
Well, here, let me just make you something really quick. And I take the voucher and I like just look at it really quick just to make sure that it's legit.
Better be legit.
It has the manager's signature on it.
Okay.
The tiefling guy, and I recognize that instantly. So I just set it down. I'm like, he's always giving people drink vouchers, so I don't have to get paid. And I throw a couple of things in like a little mixing apparatus. I don't know what the word is, but a cocktail shaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that. Pour it over some ice. Throw some beautiful sparkly glitter, and I hand it back to you. And it's like this golden sparkly beverage with like glitter in it, and it's got like a nice little like fruit accoutrement on top. Very fancy.
That's good. This is what I was looking for. I like that it has glitter.
Yeah.
It's shiny.
It's supposed to represent the fantasy of all the people who are here today, if you can believe it. I mean, look around you to your left and right. There's lots of stars and celebrities. He sounds very unimpressed.
Lots of people that haven't seen plasmoids before.
Oh,
I
I'm
guess.
sure. Yeah. In the desert, we get lots of folks from all across the world, and you know, sometimes people from smaller towns tend to roll up, and they don't know nothing about this world, you know.
I'm used to it as a moid. That's short for.
Don't call yourself a moid.
That's short for plasmoid. That's short for. Only I can say that.
All this lore, we're okay.
I reach out a clawed hand, indicating that I would like to shake your hand.
Yeah, I'll shake your hand, but don't worry, I'm not slimy.
Oh, I'm sure. And I shake your hand. My name's Fizz. Well, that's my common name. My real name is, and then I make the sound of a popped bottle of champagne. You know, we Kenku communicate more primarily through sound, so
That's cool.
having to speak in words, it was a little unusual at first, but I got used to it.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, my name's Schmoop Jam. You can call me Jam or Schmoop or something else. I don't really care.
Jam, okay.
Jam works. Jam works. It's easy.
Mm-hmm. Well, what brings you about these parts?
Oh,
You here for work?
just shipping, moving things, deliveries.
Okay.
You know.
That explains how you got the manager's signature, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know him? Is this your first time?
This is. I think we've met in passing before. This is my first time. I didn't really know that we were going to be working together prior to the engagement, but it worked out. Seems chill.
Well, yeah.
Oh, you have thoughts? You have thoughts about the manager? I need to know.
I'm not allowed to discuss these matters, unfortunately.
Can I slide you one silver piece and be like, how about now?
It's gonna need to be a lot more than that, kid.
Oh. Well, consider it a tip then for the drink.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. You're the first to be so kind to me today. Usually, I'm not allowed to draw too much attention to myself, so I'd better go attend to some other customers, all right?
Okay.
I'll be around.
Good luck.
And then I hop off the stool and I go clean some things and attend to other people. You know, bartender things.
Totally, yeah. Well, we'll jump back to Zannin and Stream. You both finished signing up for auditions. And yeah, Yorkus, I don't know, after you finish signing up, he's like, well, this is so very exciting. He checks his pocket watch. Yeah, unfortunately, the judge hasn't arrived yet. He's supposed to arrive like a few hours ago, but when he does, we'll be sure to get things started. And he nods.
And Stream nods.
Next time he checks his pocket watch, I want to see if I can also check his pocket watch.
Why are you trying to check his pocket watch?
I don't have a clock. I don't know what time it is.
He does check it briefly after.
Yeah.
You don't have high passive perception, right?
No, it's pretty bad. It's like 11.
Yeah, give me perception check then.
Just like.
I mean, either that, or you could
Just ask what time it is.
You could also do a deception check if you want.
Oh, so I rolled a 1. So,
Okay, you do start like peering over
and then
his.
I lean a little bit too far.
Can I roll a perception check to like try and gather what Zannin is doing?
Honestly, I just leave that up to you if you know what he's doing or not.
I'm gonna roll a perception check just to make sure. Yeah, I got a 18.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, you see.
So you can see the time.
No, I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
Zannin, you lean over and you're leaning over a little too close, and you were right. So like. There's a tuft of like his hair kind of ignites, but he doesn't notice it.
Stream says.
So,
Stream says, "Hey York, what time is it?"
Oh, it's let's see, 2:37. Sorry, it's 2:37.
For those of
Stream's just like watching like Zannin like reach over to this guy and like try to stop it.
For all the audio listeners out there, Zannin is like carefully like reaching over the head, just like, just like the candle pitch.
Give me sleight of hand.
Okay. Sleight of hand. I'm gonna use a different dice. I'm a little bit better at sleight of hand. Okay, I rolled a 19.
Okay.
Oh my god.
You're lucky. Jorkus doesn't notice at all.
Wait, is his name York or Jorkus?
Yorkus Loudbeck.
Okay, so I was right in calling him York.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
I guess.
I'm just gonna short people's names down. Like I'm playing as like the most nonchalant character ever. Nonchalant character when they meet chalant character.
Chalant.
Well, you avoid a catastrophe, and now you know that it's 2:37.
2:37. Okay, plenty of daylight left. We're fine.
And so it was 2:37 p.m. This episode is the first half of our session 1 recorded here at WKNC 88.1 Raleigh. I'm the DM and DJ, Starry Eyes. Our music for this episode was provided by the following artists: Lost in the Forest, who can be found on Bandcamp at lostintheforest.bandcamp.com, as well as music from other artists available on YouTube, listed in order of their appearance in this episode: Xander Jones, Casa Rosa, Unicorn Heads, No MB, John Petticucci, Freedom Trail Studio, The Mini Vandals, Reed Mathis, Track Tribe, and Zachariah Hickman, along with sound effects from the YouTube audio library. That concludes Fantasia World Tour's first episode. Thank you for listening.